Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Vinyl Side Chat. And tonight, we talk about Jimmy Eat World and their album, Futures.
She says don't go away under lights feel safe, 'cause she loves it when I hold her, and she asks if I could stay. Sometimes it comes in waves, there's no other way. She rests her head upon my shoulder, and she asks if I could stay.
Welcome back, everyone, for tuning in, whoever's chiming in and everything right now. I'm your host once again, Anthony Pagoric from the alt indie pop band Park and Maine. And I return once again this week to bring you another one of my favorite albums, along with local band news and updates. There are a ton of stuff that's happened in the past couple of days that really loaded up the show. So I'm gonna get going because we got a lot to get through. So once again, if you're watching right now, or if you're even watching on the playback or anything, please hit the like button, wow face, whatever the case might be. If you're excited for tonight's episode, and if you're excited for another week's worth of Vinyl Side Chat. Last week was pretty amazing. We had over 1,500 people last time I check out the actual show, which is amazing. Jump from week 1 to week 2. So I hope we can keep on smashing this. I hope we can keep on building this thing more and more every week. So please, as always, feel free to leave any comments about future albums you want me to talk about. Any comments that you have about the album that I'm talking about tonight, feel free. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about it, and I do read all the comments and everything. So whether you're watching right now or if it's going to be on a replay for you guys later, please chime in with all of your extra expertise or any thoughts that you do have. So let's get into it right away. Jimmy Eat World released this album. It was their 5th album on October 19th of 2004, and they released it through Interscope Records. Is who they partnered up for this. Now, this album would be a huge change. If you're a Jimmy Eat World fan, you know that they've worked exclusively with a certain producer by the name of Mark Trevino. And so when they started working on this album, I guess if you watch anything on Jimmy Eat World, you know that Mark Trevino, Jim Atkins has a true love for the guy because of how passionate he is for the music and his ideas, and he really gets invested with the band. But what I've seen and heard in other interviews and stuff is that it can also be pretty abrasive. You either kind of get along with them, or you don't. And from a comment that Jim made years and years later, he said we probably weren't ready to start recording a new album yet. And they started, and it just got off to a real rocky start. And it kind of took years. It had been years since then, since they ever went back to Mark to work with him on another album. They kind of took a little bit of a period off of working with him for a couple albums, but it sounds like they're back together and working to at least on a good standing of relationship. So what does this set Jimmy Eat World up for, though, is what we got to think about. So now they're without a producer who just helped them previously on Bleed American become the biggest that Jimmy Eat World's ever been. And now you're not working with that producer anymore. So where do you go? Well, luckily enough, there's an English producer by the name of Gil Norton. Now, if you don't know Gil Norton, you definitely know probably one of his biggest albums that he's ever helped produce, and that is Foo Fighters' Color and the Shape. And so really he flew out to Jimmy Eat World's personal studio, and they just started playing demos, and it went from listening to him actually getting behind stuff and starting to throw ideas. And they realized right from the get-go of how hands-on Gil was. Now, from a musicianship level, this is something also that you hear from Foo Fighters. He's super demanding, and Gil Norton is really focused on the little things. What Jimmy Eat World really spoke about is that they had all these parts and getting in and out of these different segments, whether it was going from verse to chorus, chorus to bridge, bridge to outro. All of those transitions are very important to Gil Norton as a producer. And so that's the stuff that he was pushing the band to tighten up on, to get more exploratory with. And so they said it was a challenge. And that's what I've heard of everyone who's worked with Gil Norton, is that he kind of pushes you to the brink as well, but it's always because he's just trying to get the very best for the album, and he's highly invested into that. So, now you would imagine that coming off your most successful album, once again I said was Bleed American, the band knew the importance of this album. And so they asked, there was talks, did Gil make a big deal about it? And it was really, as a producer, it was his job not to make them think about Bleed American anymore, for not getting inside their own heads. But there was a conscious effort of not getting too close to sounding like The Middle, that would be an issue, because the middle, while it was a huge pop song for the band, it shows this small sliver of what Jimmy Eat World is capable of. And so anytime that anything started getting close to what the middle sounded like, they immediately tried veering in a different direction, pretty much because they didn't want to make the middle part two, and they wanted to not be stuck and known as a band that writes that kind of song. They wanted to, take chances and say, yeah, we wrote that song, but this is also what we're really, really capable of. Now, a lot of people, when they first heard the album, the album itself, if you look at Futures and you just kind of look at this, what this sets you up for, okay? I mean, it's a really dark album, the way that it was all pressed and everything, and the outlook of it all, but lyrically, as you can see, well, you can't see all these, but lyrically, if you were to read through all this stuff here, this is a really, really dark album, all right? And it really, really beckons back to those good old emo days that they had, like in Clarity. And with saying that, people were kind of worried that this was going to be too dark of an album for people to want to latch onto, especially after all these people that fell in love with the pop sensation in the middle. But Jimmy Eat World didn't care. And I'm glad that they didn't, because this album has been certified gold already, which means that it's sold over 500,000 copies worldwide. And that's, once again, huge and amazing, especially in 2004. A couple other things about this album, like I said, if you're looking at songs that came out, the first single was Pain, and then they also released Work as a single. Work was really cool because they actually enlisted the help of Liz Phair, an amazing front woman from the 90s, to come and sing on that song. They did a cool video for it, and then they also released Futures, the title track, as a single as well. Now for me, sonically, I think this is probably the best sounding album that they have put out to date. Lyrically, it beckons, like I said, back to Clarity, which, people, I mean, I really, really appreciate Clarity. If it wasn't for Clarity, I wouldn't be in the Jimmy Eat World. But I'm not afraid to say that this is possibly my favorite Jimmy Eat World album that they have put out. It just kind of depends on what day that you catch me. This time of the year, fall, nothing better than putting this album in and going for a drive and listening to this front to back. If you're looking for my favorites, though, on here, you need to look no further than songs called Polaris and 23. So those are my tips to you guys. Go wherever you listen to music, or if you got this at home, put that record back on and listen to Polaris and 23, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So, with that being stated, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to segue off into the next. So like I said, if you like this album, let me know. If there's another album that you want me to review in the near future, I am taking suggestions. So please do not feel afraid of posting anything in the comments. So, with that, that's the end of Futures, and let's move on to the next segment. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff happening locally that I wanted to get you guys talking, at least kind of thinking about. One is actually happening on Halloween. So I know Halloween's on a Thursday, Thirsty Thursdays, whatever the case might be. Maybe you go out. There's going to be a costume party with the Chicago band Friday Pilots Club, Revolt Coda, and friends of ours, a band called Releaser. It's going to be at Joe's on Weed Street. Tickets are $7 if you show up with a costume, and $12 at the door. Everything starts at 8 p.m. So once again, that's Thursday night, Halloween. Come dressed up, come on out. I know it's a Thursday, but live a little, and see Friday Pilots Club, Revolt Coda, and Releaser. With that being said, I didn't see anything else that popped up kind of like in some of my feeds that was coming up super, super close, but I want to kind of put it in the back of your minds right now. There's a band called Satsang that's coming through town, and he's going to be, and that band is going to be playing at Martyrs on Saturday, November 9th. The cool thing is that he'll be supported by Carl Roth and friends of mine, Violet Crime. If you haven't seen Violet Crime before, I've had the pleasure of working them right here at my studio at Hey Charlie Studios, and did a lot of their first demo work that they put out there. So once again, it's going to be Saturday, November 9th at Martyrs. 9 o'clock is when the show is going to start. It's $15 in advance or $18 at the door, and this is a 21 and older show with, like I said, for Satsang, who is coming through town. So once again, early announcement for you guys. I'll probably have that one again for you next week. The final show announcement came on recently. I was on Facebook, and over this past weekend and everything, there was stuff that happened with Lucky Boys Confusion. But last year, on Black Friday, the local frontman, Stubby, was diagnosed with MS, or multiple sclerosis. And so, in light of this, kind of like the first year of him going through his diagnosis, and he's got, if you look up his post, he's got a good video explaining everything that's going on here. But Lucky Boys Confusion, the band that he's most famously known for, and Accelerated Cure Project for MS, is going to put on a annual charity event that's going to be hosted by Lucky Boys Confusion. It's called MS Sucks, so Singing for a Cure. And it's going to be hosted at the Bottom Lounge, and it will be split up into two portions. There's going to be a full band Lucky Boys Confusion matinee show that's going to be followed up by a fundraiser with a raffle and different acoustic acts donating their time. I want to say Plain White Tees is going to be part of that, I saw. And there's a couple other bands that have already been put on that acoustic list. So if you want to help in terms of performance or donate your time or anything to the event, please reach out to them as soon as possible. They're going to have different ticket packages that will allow you different types of access to the shows, and they have a lot of sponsors donating goods and services that will be raffled off. And any donation that you can make there that night to the ACP, they'll have a way of taking donations right on that spot that evening. So even if you want to come, you don't want to raffle or do anything else like that, like just come. They'll gladly take your donations that evening. If you want to be, like I said, involved in this event in one way or another, MS Sucks Singing for a Cure at gmail.com. Once again, that's MS Sucks Singing for a Cure at gmail.com. For me personally, I think it's a great event to help try to find an accelerated way of curing this disease. I've seen firsthand what MS is capable of. For me, it got the best of my grandmother. I knew her as just being wheelchair bound from the first moments I could remember, and basically only able to visit her in nursing homes and assisted living her whole life. So it's not easy to see what this disease can do to someone who's just one day walking around, everything's perfect, and then a couple months later their life's completely changed forever. So please find a way to get involved and raise money for this great cause. So to continue in terms of local music, I also wanted to share an album that dropped recently by a band called El Famous. The album is called Cycles. Check it out on Spotify today. It's lyrically dark and sad at times. It seems to kind of maybe be the theme of what's going on here. But all of these things were said in hopes that it could also be there to support those that might be feeling the same way. It seems like there's been a good amount of people that have been clinging on to those lyrics and been very supportive to the band over the past couple of weeks. And they've also put out a couple of videos released to support their first two singles. I believe they were both filmed by Alex Zarek. And so head on over to their YouTube to check out the visuals as well. I know they're super stoked about this. And I don't know if they're serious, but I believe Kevin was talking about actually putting out a video for every one of the songs on the album. Now whether that was just a joke or that's something he's going to do, that would be totally rad. So keep on checking out all those updates from El Famous and their album Cycles. As long as we're talking about new music and new videos, I'll segue into my band, Park in Maine. Tomorrow, all right, Wednesday, October 30th, we have a brand new music video that's coming out. It's called I Hate to Drive. It's the week of Halloween, and so you're going to see that we got dressed up a little bit different for this video than what you've normally seen. So if you've watched videos like from us before, when we were previously in Oceans Over Airplanes, this video is something completely different that we wanted to try that kind of goes outside our comfort zone, and we hope you're able to check that out. Like I said, it premieres Wednesday. On Friday, November 1st, the song itself will hit every streaming platform, so whether you stream it from Amazon or Spotify or iTunes, you can also go to our website, parkinmainband.com. You can also go to our Bandcamp, Park in Maine Band, and so anywhere that you like to stream music from, it will be out on Friday, November 1st. We recorded our video with a great friend of ours named David Zuccarelli, and he really helped kind of bring this thing all together for us, the kind of weird thoughts that we had in our mind of trying to do something more than just a performance-based video. So please check it out. Once again, it's going to be streaming. We're going to have like a streaming party on YouTube, so go to our YouTube channel. I'll post that link in the comments below and everything. Go there, subscribe to our channel, and then once again kind of get notified when we're going to be starting that viewing party. I believe it's like before, during, and a little bit after the premiere of the video on YouTube tomorrow, which will be at noon Central Time. We'll be able to chat and talk, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say about the videos you guys are watching it for the first time. That is tomorrow at noon once again. Big stuff coming from Park in Maine. So before I do leave today, I'm asking that you do head over to our YouTube page. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you won't miss any new episodes that we put out. Like I said, this is 3 weeks in a row now with Vinyl Side Chat that we're super excited to get this out to you guys. So every episode will be back catalog. So if you want to see the replay and everything, or show the replay to a friend that you think we have an album that they'd like to hear more about, go to our Park in Maine band YouTube page. We are 40 subscribers away from being able to kind of make the channel fully customizable for us. So please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do, so that I can just make it nice and easy and give you a much easier direct link to go see us on our YouTube page. It's way more memorable, like all the rest of our socials. Once again, if there's some type of music or band that you want me to report on or talk about, local music, local shows, please post that in the comments below. Bands, if you're watching this, please let me know what's going on with all your stuff. Unfortunately, I don't see everything, so please tell me and I'll make sure to try to get it on the show. So, like I said, finally, if you want to join the show, I got plenty of space on my left or my right to sit here and talk music with you. So if you want to be on the show and want to talk about some music, please approach me about it as well. I think it'd be great to get some other local people here on the show just to talk about your band or an album that really means a lot to you. I really am interested to see what albums really mean a lot to people as they grow over the years. So once again, thank you for coming to the channel. Like I said, over 1,500 views of last week's episode 2 with the 1975. So thank you for everyone who tuned in. Thank you for those who spread the word. Thank you who continue to tune in this evening. It means the world to me. So until we meet again, I've been Anthony Pogoric. This has been Vinyl Side Chat. And until next time, make sure you find time to sit and listen to an album. Let it consume you. You'll be surprised how much it can complete you. So, see you next week. Love. Bye.